I need to talk to you about something that's happening right now in Arkansas, and honestly, it's one of the most severe agricultural crises I've seen in decades. We're watching farms collapse at a rate that hasn't happened since the 1980s farm crisis, and the numbers are genuinely alarming. Let me start with what we're seeing in the first quarter of 2025. 88 farm bankruptcies, that's 88 Chapter 12 filings in Arkansas alone in just 3 months. To put that in perspective, that's nearly double the 45 filings we saw in the same period last year. And here's what really stands out to me. Arkansas now accounts for 30% of all bankruptcy filings in the entire 8th U.S. District Court. 30%. That's a staggering concentration of agricultural failure in one state. Since December started, we've seen more than 60 farm auctions across Arkansas. Some counties are having multiple farm sales every single week. And when you walk into these farming communities, what you see is devastating. I'm talking about New Holland tractors sitting abandoned in fields. Case IH combines rusting under foreclosure signs. Properties that families have owned for generations, now repossessed by banks. This is why dealerships like Progressive Tractor and Implement, with locations in Carlisle, Stuttgart, and Texarkana, are sitting on millions of dollars in unsold New Holland inventory. This is why Alma Tractor and Equipment in Fort Smith can't move tractors off their lots. And here's the thing you need to understand. It's not because farmers don't need the equipment. They literally cannot afford it. They cannot get financing. They cannot justify the purchase when they're losing money on every single acre they plant. Arkansas farmers have stopped buying New Holland equipment entirely. And when you see the numbers I'm about to show you, you'll understand why. The scale of what's happening here is unprecedented outside of the 1980s farm crisis. I heard Senator Boozman speaking about this recently. He said he's been listening to Arkansas farmers, including the hundreds who packed into a Northeast Arkansas church earlier this month to share their struggles. Farmers across central Arkansas are saying Congress better do something quick, or else more and more farms will have to totally shut down. These are farmers who desperately tried to restructure their debt, tried to find a way to keep farming, and finally had no choice but to file for bankruptcy. And here's what concerns me. These aren't small hobby farms we're talking about. These are commercial operations, multi-generational family farms that survived the Great Depression, weathered decades of commodity price swings, made it through droughts and floods. They're going under at a rate we haven't seen in 40 years. But it's not just Arkansas farmers who are suffering. CNH Industrial, the parent company that manufactures New Holland, Case IH, and Steyr equipment, is collapsing right alongside them. CNH is projecting agricultural equipment sales will be down between 13% and 18% this year compared to 2024, and that follows sharp sales declines in 2024. We're looking at 2 consecutive years of catastrophic drops. In November 2024, CNH announced plans to close its Burlington, Iowa tractor plant by mid-2026. That's a permanent closure, hundreds more jobs gone. They've already laid off 373 workers from 2 manufacturing plants as sales continue to decline. CEO Scott Wine said it plainly, market fundamentals remain uncertain and challenging for our farmers, and it is difficult to say if we will enter 2026 with more visibility or even more momentum. Translation, nobody knows when this ends or if it ends. Let me tell you what these 60-plus farm auctions mean. Every week, another auction notice goes out. Another family watches their New Holland tractors, their Case IH equipment, their entire operation sold off piece by piece. These auctions are flooding the used equipment market with repossessed New Holland and Case IH machinery. But here's the problem, and this is where it gets really difficult. Dealers cannot sell this equipment at any price because the farmers who might buy it don't have money either. One farmer I heard from explained it simply. Input prices are going up steadily, but commodity prices just haven't been able to keep pace. That means it costs more for farmers to produce their crops, but the money they get in return just isn't enough. Let me give you some concrete examples of what's happening to equipment values. A 2020 combine that sold for $500,000 just 18 months ago now brings $200,000 at auction, if any buyer exists at all. New Holland tractors worth $300,000 in early 2024 are selling for $120,000, or they're sitting unsold through multiple auctions. Think about what this means for dealers like Progressive Tractor and Implement or Alma Tractor and Equipment. They accepted trade-ins based on Blue Book values from early 2024. Now they're holding inventory worth half their outstanding floor plan obligations. Banks are demanding payment and there are no buyers in sight. Joel Hargis from Quattlebaum, Grooms and Tull Law Firm in Jonesboro handles bankruptcy cases for Arkansas farmers. He says these are people who desperately want to continue their family traditions but see no mathematical path to profitability. One farmer put it to me this way: even if we cut the best crop, it doesn't stop the price from dropping tomorrow. Sixth-generation farmers are selling land held since the 1800s. They're destroying family legacies that survived every crisis in American history, but they cannot survive 2025. And here's the part that worries me most. The downstream effects are destroying every business connected to agriculture. Dealerships lose their primary revenue stream when farmers stop buying New Holland tractors and Case IH combines worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Service departments sit empty because farmers cannot afford repairs. Parts inventory worth millions gathers dust while dealers struggle to pay floor plan financing. Salespeople who once earned six figures selling equipment are now competing to move 20-year-old used New Holland tractors at a loss. Progressive Tractor and Implement operates multiple locations across Arkansas: Carlisle, Stuttgart, Texarkana. Each location employs mechanics, parts specialists, salespeople, all watching their livelihoods disappear. Alma Tractor and Equipment in Fort Smith, Roberts Tractor in Mountain View, Williams Tractor in Rogers, WT Equipment serving Northwest Arkansas. They're all struggling with the same crisis. When farmers can't buy because they're losing $440 per acre on rice or $480 per acre on cotton, dealership size doesn't matter. The mathematics don't work for anyone. Let me explain what a New Holland dealership means to a small town. A dealership employing 50 people in a town of 5,000 represents critical economic infrastructure. Mechanics earning $70,000 annually, parts specialists making $50,000, salespeople who once earned six figures. They all spend their incomes locally, supporting grocery stores, restaurants, schools, every other business in rural communities. When dealerships reduce staff by half or close entirely, towns lose the economic foundation that made rural life sustainable. The multiplier effect means every dealership job lost eliminates 3 additional jobs in surrounding businesses. CNH Industrial is contracting across the board in response to farmers not buying. The Burlington, Iowa tractor plant is closing permanently by mid-2026. Production has been scaled back at facilities across the Midwest. Agricultural equipment sales are projected down 13 to 18% in 2025, following massive declines in 2024, 2 consecutive years of catastrophic drops. CEO Scott Wine admits market fundamentals remain uncertain and challenging. Nobody knows when or if recovery begins. Manufacturing slowdowns mean dealer inventory disappears, but farmers aren't buying anyway. This creates a death spiral where dealerships like Progressive Tractor have neither sales nor products to sell. CNH Industrial Capital is reporting $27.7 million in write-offs. Farmers are defaulting on equipment loans, unable to make payments on New Holland tractors and Case IH combines they financed. The company is being crushed from both sides. They can't sell new equipment and they can't collect on equipment already sold. And those are corporate numbers, smoothed and averaged globally. What's happening at Arkansas dealer lots is far worse. When farmers are losing hundreds of dollars per acre, when sixth-generation farms are filing bankruptcy, when 60-plus auctions are flooding markets with repossessed equipment, no manufacturer survives unscathed. Here we are in December 2025. Arkansas farmers have stopped buying New Holland equipment entirely, not because they don't need it, not because Progressive Tractor doesn't have inventory, but because the fundamental economics of farming no longer work. 88 farm bankruptcies in the first quarter of 2025, 60-plus farm auctions since December started, farmers losing $447 per acre on rice, $489 per acre on cotton, record yields, and farmers are still losing money. CNH Industrial is projecting equipment sales down 13 to 18% following massive 2024 declines, 2 straight years of collapse, 373 manufacturing workers laid off, the Burlington, Iowa plant closing permanently, $27.7 million in customer loan defaults. The death spiral accelerates, dealers can't sell, farmers can't buy, manufacturers can't produce profitably. Somewhere tonight, a farmer in Arkansas is looking at bankruptcy paperwork for a farm his family has owned for 6 generations, doing math that doesn't work, knowing there's no way forward. Somewhere tonight, a mechanic at Progressive Tractor is cleaning out their toolbox, their position eliminated, their career in rural communities over because farmers can't afford to fix equipment, much less buy new. Somewhere tonight, a young person who grew up on an Arkansas farm is packing for a city job, watching their parents lose everything, choosing any career except agriculture. This is why farmers can't afford New Holland equipment anymore. This is why CNH Industrial is laying off hundreds of workers and closing factories. This is why Arkansas agriculture is collapsing. That's the reality of December 2025.